We to the main event, UFC 193. Preacher's daughter.
Hallelujah.
What are you, Vitor? Don't do that Vitor stuff.
Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey. Before we even get to the fight, I have to bring up a few things.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's see what you got.
Number one.
Here it comes.
When we talked about this fight before it happened, I remember mentioning how Holly Holm in her fight career has 100% takedown defense.
You did say that.
And that was on display tonight. Number two, I talked about how Holly Holm sets up the left high kick with her punches. Mm-hmm. And in Legacy, she used to set it up, and whenever people flinched and went backwards, she would follow up with the left high kick. And I mentioned how Ronda doesn't take punches well, and she flinches and everything. And I was like, if Holly Holm wins, those two things are going to, the takedown defense and that left high kick will be the way she does it. And Spill even agreed, if she wins, it'll be the left high kick. And then I also mentioned how it was going to be a game of if Ronda could cut her off and her lateral movement.
Yeah.
And all three of those things, Holly Holm's takedown defense, the lateral movement, and the left high kick came into play tonight. So just for you fans, let you know, this ain't no saying it after the fight.
No.
Greg Blackson bought these things up beforehand. And also, you weren't here, Ariel Kalani, but I told Spill, it was a long time ago. I remember they had an interview with Gina Carano. A lot of people might not have seen it, but they were like, who do you think is going to be the next big thing in the sport and the champion? And she was like, there's a girl named Holly Holm, and you have to look out for her. And
I think I saw that interview.
And she said that. And I brought that up before as the walkout was happening to this fight. And all of that all of these things came into play tonight. So it was what did you feel about that fight?
Man, in watching this fight, if you had to say, well, how do you beat Ronda Rousey? Foot movement, keep the distance, keep her at the end of your punches, and then you gotta stay away from her takedowns. Whenever you get in close, whether it's you pushing off, moving up, whatever it is, you gotta stay away from the takedown, and you can't get flustered. She's gonna bum rush you. She's gonna come in. You can't let the moment and her pressure get to you. And Holly Holm, the stars were aligned. She bet everything on 0-0, and it landed. I mean, everything was perfect for her tonight. She came out, and I said, when we talked earlier, I said, the biggest advantage Holly Holm has, and it's one of them at least, was her corner. Greg Jackson, Mike Winkeljohn, they come up with game plans in big fights, and if you stick to it, more often than not, you're going to be successful. It may not always be the most entertaining for some people, i.e. GSP, but they find a recipe for success really, really good.
You know what? Here's how I looked at it. Speaking of that, I kind of had a different perspective. To me, it wasn't about Holly Holm's skills. To me, Holly Holm looked like the Holly Holm I watched in Legacy. She fought like that. So it was nothing, she didn't do anything special to me tonight. Personally, she just looked like, when I watched her first two UFC fights, I was like, she looks worse than she did in Legacy. When I watched her tonight, she looked like she did in Legacy. So to me, it wasn't like I saw something new. And I didn't see an amazing game plan either. She did what, we all talked about it. We predicted what they would have Holly Holm do to try to beat Rousey. And Rousey, if you remember, predicted that same game plan.
Yeah.
So even she wasn't surprised. To me, the story of the
night... She was surprised.
Here's the story of the night to me, that a lot of people, I'm looking at it in reverse. It is about what Rousey lacks.
Very much so.
It not only is a fighter, but in a camp. That's more of the story to me. Because, like I said, it's not like Holm did this like fucking Hadouken or something, or this game plan where everybody's like, whoa, she submitted Rousey. It was what everybody, how everybody expected her to fight, and how and the game plan. But Rousey's inability to strike with her at all, her inability to dodge the left straight, her inability to cut off the cage, her corner inability to help her adjust to this adversity or give proper instruction, that's what I was focused on tonight. Because if you see Rousey, there's a difference between cutting off and chasing.
Very much
And
so.
she was chasing a world-class boxer, running into the punches.
Not gonna happen.
You know, instead of cutting off, and this is coming from Edmond, who's saying she drops world-class boxers in sparring, which I've never believed, and saying she was thinking about going to pro boxing, and she doesn't even know how to cut off.
That debunked that.
You know,
whole story.
she doesn't even know how to cut off the case. She was just rushing her. She, almost like she was in panic, you know?
Yeah.
And even the way she got tired showed she was in panic.
You know, she got
turning-
tired like 2 minutes into the first
Yeah,
round.
she's
Her mouth
turning
was
like
open.
this from the shots, you know, she was shying away from the shots, not looking, and then she was inside the foot the whole time. The number one key to find a southpaw is the foot game. You have to be outside the right leg, and she was inside. She got hit by 100% of the left hands.
Ladies and gentlemen, that type of breakdown right there is the same type of breakdown one Floyd Mayweather uses when he fights guys, and everyone says he's boring. That just goes to show you, though, he's that much ahead of the game in them. And look, it did happen tonight, and look what happened. Got your ass.
Here's the thing that got me too. You see Rousey most effective with her takedowns when she gets her opponents back to the cage.
Yes.
And she was totally shut down there.
Oh,
And I remember
yeah.
Spade brought up about how like maybe she can shoot in and everything, and I was like, you know, maybe we haven't seen that element to her game. This also showed that outside of her judo type of takedowns, she's added no wrestling type of takedowns to
None
this.
whatsoever.
She never level changed to a single, and it's easier to hit the single in a southpaw.
Very.
Or to a double or anything. She went for her typical inside-outside judo trips, you know. She went for the head toss. Everything got shut down. And it was and she didn't know what to do from there. And the funny thing is Holly Holm is a taller person, and if you look at who Ronda lost to in judo, it was a girl from the Netherlands who was also taller.
Taller, yeah.
You know, and it just showed how much she truly lacks. And it also showed you the level of her. I've always felt like Ronda Rousey is good.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like she had too much hype because you're taking girls who got into MMA and they do MMA.
Yeah.
So they've been doing a combative sport for
Couple
a
years.
year,
Yeah.
2 years, and then you have Ronda Rousey, who is a female who's been doing combative sports since she was younger. So she's that much further ahead of the game. And now when you as soon as you put her with another person who has been doing combative sports and she doesn't have that experience advantage, she looked like an amateur.
We learned more tonight about Ronda Rousey than we did Holly Holm.
I agree.
Because like you said, she looked like Holly Holm from Legacy. Tonight, if you've never seen if you've never seen Ronda Rousey fight before, but you've heard all this hype about it, and this was your first fight, you would have thought she was the challenger and Holly Holm was supposed to. Did you get the names mixed up? Maybe it was Holly Holm who's got all this praise and hype and not Ronda Rousey. She looked like an amateur out there. She literally was clumsy. And Spell, I want to get you in here real quick because it's been a minute since you talked. Because I got a nice thing I want to say, but I want to get you in here since it's been a while since you talked, my man. We're not leaving you out.
All right. Oh, now?
Oh no! Right now.
Okay. Yeah. The funny thing is, man, I was shocked because honestly I thought, you know, we were talking about this the other day how, you know, when Rousey came out with the boxing and was knocking people out, everyone was shocked. And I was like, well, of course she's not sitting around like training her arm bars, like,
Yeah.
you know. And now she has like all this success, all this money. She's going to be training all the stuff she needs to learn, boxing and wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Apparently she's not doing that. Apparently she's hanging around with Edmund punching mitts.
No, you know what?
I mean, I don't
the thing is,
understand.
maybe she is, but here's the thing. You can be doing all the work you need to do with the wrong person, and Edmund's a yes man.
Yeah.
You can't come out on, you can't sit there and put in the media and tell your fighter that they're dropping world-class boxers. I come from a boxing background. I was at King's boxing in Oakland, I'm at, Mayweather Boxing Club here, I 1000% guarantee you, Ronda would get her ass whooped by every female in our gym. Her coach can't be sitting there telling her this. You're giving her false confidence. And then if you listen between round 1 and 2, he said, "You're doing great. You had a good round." She got dominated round 1. That's a complete lie.
Maybe he was looking on the iPad or the smartphone and watching UFC Fight Pass for older fights because it wasn't tonight.
I mean, maybe if you took that fact like sort of out of the context of everything else, you could say, well, maybe Edmund's telling her this because he doesn't want her to lose faith and lose confidence. He wants her to go in there and feel like, okay, yeah, and not fall apart. And, he should know his fighter. The coach should know their fighter. But when you look at it together with everything else, like you're saying, it just looks like just bad coaching.
I feel like this, with me, I've trained a lot of people. As alongside Doug Marshall, I trained him when he won the WC World, light heavyweight championship. I trained Darren Crystal. Everybody I've ever helped, I helped this in China when I was there. A guy beat like a world champion, Lurdzilla. And the thing is, everybody I've ever trained that listened to me, they never lost a fight. And I feel like the reason for that is not because I'm some great trainer. I'm very, very honest with the people about how they're doing in the fight, how they're doing during training, about their strengths and weaknesses and that of the opponent. And it's kind of like, the way I look at it, if you understand this analogy, it's like Achilles had one weakness, right? Mm-hmm. What if somebody would have said, hey, your weakness is this? Maybe he would have protected it better. And he would have been that invincible hero that he could have been. But because he thought he was invincible when he had a weakness, it was exposed and he was killed. And I feel like Edmund was this dude telling Ronda, you are invincible, when she had a spot to kill her this whole time. And it's not, and with her, there were multiple spots. That's what I'm saying. You just see she had no wrestling. She had no wrestling. She had no real striking, no real footwork, no real head movement, no real cardio. You see how she wasn't as strong as you thought she was.
And the other thing,
her transitions weren't even, you know what I mean?
Almost non-existent.
Dude, she went for the head throw, and Holm just pushed her down on the ground. It was just, you saw how much she was really, really lacking. And one question I always had, I don't know if you guys had it, who the fuck is she working with? I always see her with Edmund. Who are her female training partners? Who are her male train? Like, who is she working with on these MMA aspects and these wrestling things?
She works with the 4 horsewomen. The other 3 who literally are like 0-27 in their fights, who all get their asses
she's not even working with them. They're at Josh Barnett's gym at CSW, so she's not even getting in that work.
Not even with them anymore.
And the thing that really surprised me too, in addition to all that, was just the fact that she got so flustered as soon as Holly started tagging her, and she just started freaking out, basically panicking, and it went from bad to worse as soon as she did that. Like, at the very least, you'd expect her to have the ability to keep her composure, or at least regain it, when things start going a little off.
You know what's funny, and I hope you get me with this, that you're absolutely correct, and to me it shows that she has a winner's mindset but not a champion's mindset. And a lot of people don't get that there is a difference. Like a winner's mindset, you're gonna go in there wanting to win, expecting to win, and trying to do everything you can to win. You're almost like a bully, and you're like, I'm gonna win, you're not fucking taking this from me. But if it starts to not go that way, you break. A champion's mindset is like
adaptable.
Yeah, it adapts. You might have a shitty round, and you're like, how the fuck am I gonna fix this? And I remember when I watched the weigh-ins, I felt like Ronda was gonna have some trouble and then win. And I changed my mind at the weigh-ins when I saw Ronda get legitimately flustered at those weigh-ins, and Holly Holm was like this.
Stone cold.
And it reminded me of when I fought John Gunderson, because he was so fucking mad, and even going into the fight, he was like flexing and so mad at me. And I remember I was just in my corner watching him flex with the blankest face, and the commentators were like, of course everybody against the black man, the commentators are all like, oh, Dominique and Guns got into it at weigh-ins, and look, Guns has the fire in his eye, and Dominique is sitting there with a blank face. Maybe he's intimidated because of all the experience he's going up against now. And really, that's not what was happening.
Yeah.
I was just like, I took everything. You know, your anger can use you or you can use it. Yeah, and I was so calm. That's how I was. And when I saw Holly like that, the first thing that came to my mind was that Gunderson fight. And I was like, dude, she has a look on her face I had in mind where you're just like, okay, this is how you're going to act. Watch.
You know what they've been saying with ever since I weigh-in, the whole Jackson Wink camp has been saying about the whole thing with Ronda freaking out, like, over and over, confidence is quiet.
I was just about to say that. In the last fight against Beth Correia, when Beth was screaming and yelling at Ronda, one of the memes that I saw on the internet was...
memes.
Memes. My bad, I went to public school in the inner city, forgive me. One of the things that I saw was a picture of them facing off with Beth yelling, and it said, insecurity is loud, confidence is silent. And when I saw how the weigh-ins went yesterday, I said, now I wonder if those same people are going to say this about Ronda. Because she was the one who initiated it. She was the one that was trying to get into Holly's face, get into her mind, break her, and when Holly wouldn't move. And I said, you know what? If you heard the interview when Joe Rogan talked to Ronda, she sounded shook. Her voice was cracking, almost like she was... And to me, and I said this, I said, I think this was Ronda's last chance at trying to see if she could break Holly Holm's straight edge focus. Because Holly's been straight edge focused. She's been in the zone this entire time. And for Ronda, for everyone she's ever fought, at some point, they break.
Yeah.
From all the interviews, from all the access, from all the traveling, from the big stage, they break at some point. Holly has never broken. And for Ronda, I think it, just like we talked about before, she's not afraid to fight somebody, i.e. Cyborg. She's afraid to lose. And I think when she looked at Holly and Holly never broke, that's what was getting to her, was the fact, I'm not getting this girl.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not getting to her.
Here's the thing, that it weirded me out. Besides how calm Holly was, that even weirded me out. She was just like, whatever. And then when Joe Rogan was like, what's up, Holly? And she was like, you know, I'm just having a drink. I was just
what?
A drink.
Yo, Pedialyte?
You know, it was like, but the thing is, and I was like, this is weird, because I'm big on psychology.
Yes.
Because I'm real analytical like that. And the thing is, she rushed Holly. And Dana White held her back at first, you remember? Mm-hmm. And then he let them go together, and she got in her face and then got that flustered when the girl touched her back. And she's like, oh, you're fake, you're not the preacher's daughter, you touched me, I didn't even touch you. No, you were going to get in her face.
That was too.
You know what I mean? You can't go to get in somebody's face and then be mad if they touch you.
Yeah.
And she got that flustered, and then it's like Spirit said, she seemed that same kind of flustered that she was on stage in the fight. And I think that when somebody didn't give a shit and was like, get the hell out of my face, you know? Because if you remember when she pushed Misha kind of backed off.
Yeah, Misha stopped.
Holly Holm not only did it, but she did it cool as hell. You know, her dad was in the background like this. You know, like Ace Ventura out of Part 2. You know?
There's a great comparison, and I think right now, especially given this fight, it's dead on accurate. They was calling Ronda Rousey the Mike Tyson of MMA, because she was just beating everybody left and right, 30 seconds, 16, 14, whatever. Only been out the first round once in her career. And I thought that was a dead accurate one, because if you look at Mike Tyson, knocked out a lot of people in dramatic fashion. But who did he knock out? When you look at when you say who are the great boxers, you can list all the opponents that they beat. Can't do that with Iron Mike. But what happened with Iron Mike when he fought Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield, Lennox Lewis? When he fought someone who wasn't intimidated, who wasn't scared, who didn't say, hey look, now I don't care who you are, I'm a fighter too, and I'm coming right after your ass. When Ronda Rousey faced adversity against Holly Holm and she couldn't bully her, she couldn't intimidate her, she didn't know what else to do. a lot of times people were giving credit to Ronda. Oh, she's added knockout power and she's working on her boxing. Oscar De La Hoya said he's talked to her about coming over to boxing. And this is what's funny. Last week on At the Fights, Greg Cooney said Ronda is great in MMA. If she comes to boxing, she's average at best. And MMA fans and reporters was, oh, that's boxing fans not accepting MMA. They're just haters. No, you got to understand, if you're talking about our profession, what you guys do is cool for what you do, but you can't equal it to what we do. And people were blinded by the highlights, the arm bars, the TKOs, the knee to the body on Sarah McMahon, the knockout of Beth Carrell. They were blinded by the fact that Ronda is not technically good. Well, if you look at her throw punches, it's sloppy and it's not good.
Here's the thing. It's like even when even when I tell Spill no, listen to this.
But you forgot my name though.
Kalani.
No, you said Ariel. Anyways,
I'm thinking there are too many things right now. But listen to this. And you might have seen this too. When I train to Spill, I always tell them hands up, chin down, elbows in. If you look at her fighting stance, her arms are like that.
Yeah.
With all the body open.
Very much so.
You can't even box from that position properly. You cannot box like this because boxing comes from the hips.
Yeah. It's all
you can't do it from here. And she's like this, and she's always moving like that with all that open. You can't even punch proper from that. That alone tells you how much work she has to do.
Well, that's why she got so tired. Those were all arm punches.
Yeah, basically. I mean, literally, she's supposed to be training with
She did rock her. She rocked her once.
She rocked
with that ugly shit.
And let's be honest, Ronda's got power. You know, she's got shoulders on. She's got power. It's not like she doesn't have. But from a technical standpoint, when you're looking like this, I mean, literally, I didn't know if I was watching UFC 193 or WorldStar.com. I mean, it was literally. I can't stand that ignorant ass sign. But that's how it looked. And I gotta tell you, man, 2 minutes into it, you know, Ronda, it was almost like Shane Carwin. Remember Shane Carwin in the heavyweight division, knocking everybody out in the first round. But when he took on Brock Lesnar, can Brock take him into deep waters? And he nearly beat Brock in the first round. But in the second round, Carwin was gassed.
But he did hit Brock like 5,022
He did hit him like 5,022 times. But the point was, Carwin kept saying, I got cardio. I train hard. If I got to go 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, I'm good. Ronda, I could go all night if I need to. 2 minutes into the first round, her mouth was open. You can see the mouthpiece. I don't know if that was just an adrenaline dump because of that long, intense walk she had to make from the back to the cage, all the running and chasing that she was doing on Holly, or if it was just the fact that her body is not
Judo!
Judo! Her body wasn't used to going this far. And look, we're talking so much about Ronda Rousey. Let's give credit where credit is due, man. Holly Holm, and like you said, you know, she looked how she looked in Legacy. But just like we saw with Valerie, when it's your first time on the big stage, lights are brighter, crowd is noisier. You're taking on this person who's supposed to be a monster, someone that can't be beat. And you hold your composure.
The best in the history of the world.
It doesn't apply to
ever.
It does not apply, but it shows that she was multiple-time world boxing champion.
Yeah, but this is an MMA fight though, but where she didn't have to, where everything else was into it. She took on a lot of boxing champs, but I don't think she ever took on somebody who was supposed to be the quote-unquote greatest of all time. I mean, unless she fought Layla Ali, and I never heard about it. She didn't fight nobody who had the hype behind it. And sometimes that's what happens when you fight somebody with all that hype.
You know what? But here's the thing. She was a multiple-time champion with women coming to take what she had all the time. And she kept it.
Very true.
So,
but did she ever stand across somebody who was supposed to be this mountain that nobody could climb?
But guess what? Here's what it comes down to. It doesn't come down to what everybody else, if everybody else thinks Ronda is a mountain to be climbed. If you listen to Holly, she never had that perspective on it.
Nah.
So it wasn't like that. You know, this is multiple-time boxing world champ with there's been a million girls coming after what she wants. And there's no bigger pressure than somebody trying to take something from you. You know, and she's used to dealing with that, and she's never had that perspective that this was a insurmountable, you know, like minor obstacle. So to her, Ronda was just a person, and she said the whole time leading up to this fight, and you seeing her, you know, she was chill about it. She was like, I know what I can do. I know what I can do. Every time somebody tried to talk to her about Ronda, she always was like, I know what I can do. I believe my camp. And one thing that I like, and I was talking to Spield about this, is you got Ronda with Edmund, who's fucking just a shitty coach. I always thought he was.
Going to Ronda's mom. Yeah, he sucks.
And conversely, you got Home, not only with her MMA trainer, but her MMA trainer is the exact same person who trained her in her boxing career. There's no better relationship. The more you trust somebody and know who they are, not as a fighter but as a person, there's no better synergy than that. And this guy has had her since she was a child.
Yeah. You know who's licking her chops about this? And I'm kind of let down that she wasn't the one to do it. But you know who was just smiling this whole time? Cyborg.
I don't know. She lost
What?
a big payday.
She lost a big payday, but here's the thing, though.
Huge payday.
She lost a huge payday, but here's the thing. Just like Tyson Holyfield, that fight's going to happen eventually. That fight is going to happen. But this goes to prove to all the experts, especially all you internet experts, that Cyborg is this big juiced up girl that can't compete with Ronda and she'll... No. Cyborg hits way harder than Holly. If this was Cyborg, Ronda would have made it out the first round.
Yeah, it would have been like Castellano's speed, but with her knocked out. I've always been, you know, Cyborg, I love you. I always thought Cyborg would win that fight. You know, people underestimate her. This is a girl who competed in wrestling. This is a girl who competed in Muay Thai. This is a girl who competed in Jiu-Jitsu. This is a girl who, you know, shoot box lanes.
For 10 years, she's been undefeated.
Yeah, with knockouts. She's been doing what Ronda Rousey has been doing longer with knockouts and competing in all fields, all combat sports. You know what I mean? And they have this thing where they're like, Ronda keeps saying, oh, I fight Laila Ali at this weight. I fight Gina Carano at this weight. I can armbar Cain Velasquez at this weight and all this. But then they're like, oh, no, we're not going to do her at 40. When she's saying she feels her strongest at 150, it was always an excuse not to fight her. And Dana White supported it. They know Cyborg would have beat her.
They deep down, they do know. Now, here's the question, though. Ronda said if she would have won this fight, she wanted to kind of disappear.
No, she said she was going to fight at UFC 200.
Well, no, that's the thing.
Yeah.
This is November, 200's in July. But here's the thing. With this loss, does Ronda maybe change her mind and look to come back Super Bowl weekend maybe? That's about 3 months. Does she look to say, bump that, I want my title back? Or does she mentally is broken down and physically, because apparently she couldn't make the press conference, she had a busted lip and had to get stitches on. Does that mess with her mentally to where maybe she has to wait till 200? Or does she say, get me right back in there, Dana, I want a rematch?
Here's what I personally think. I think she shouldn't even fight sooner or at 200. You know, I feel like...
Later?
I think she should fight later. Here's why. I think that they need to get Cyborg in the UFC, put her at 200 versus Holly Holm. You know what I mean? Or... Here, actually, let me change that. I think that Holly Holm should maybe fight Super Bowl weekend versus Miesha Tate.
That'll be
fucking fair.
That'll be a fight.
Fair. And then here's what I think: the winner of Miesha Tate, Holly Holm, should fight Cyborg at 200. Get the fucking woman in there. She should have been. She's been at this world champion level longer than Rousey.
Miesha said she'll fight at 145.
Yeah, she's not getting the credit she deserves. So let Miesha be fair to her. Let her fight Holm. Let the winner of that fight Cyborg, who's been doing this for women's MMA way longer than Rousey. Give her the respect she deserves. As far as Rousey goes, she's making these movies. You know, she has this thing with her mom and her coach going back and forth. She hasn't even gotten a fucking break. She needs to take a break. She needs to reevaluate her coaches, her training. I can't say who's around her. I don't know. You know how people always say evaluate who's around. All I know is that coach has to go. She needs to change. She needs to change something with her training and get things together and refocus. You know, maybe if she's going to do movies for a while, she needs to just do that and then get back into training and refocus and fight. Maybe she deserves a year off.
Was this more of an indication of, hey, maybe we've been fooled by Ronda because she's been beating up the lower level people, or was this just a slip up on the perfect night, i.e. Matt Serra GSP1? Was this just, hey, tonight everything was lined up perfectly for Holly Holm to win, or did we really see the true colors of Ronda Rousey against elite female athletes?
I think it's unfair to dismiss Ronda's talent just because, you know, the fact is, you know, she started believing her own hype.
Yeah.
She's a world-class Olympian, judoka, and that's what she's great at. And she's made strides in other areas, but don't fall in love with your new little talents there. Don't go in and you got to go with the one that got you to the dance. Don't go in there thinking you're going to start boxing against a championship level
What
boxer.
do you feel about the fact that her judo didn't even work on Hall?
Yeah,
like I said, she had her against the cage twice and couldn't even take her down.
But she seemed like she just kind of was like, all right, well, I guess we'll just stand. And that's
like
what
she abandoned it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
See, I don't feel like that.
Well, give credit to Hall too, because she was blocking.
No, but look at this. From
from
wrestling, you can shoot them from the outside.
Yeah.
With judo, you have to get to them.
Yeah.
I don't feel like she abandoned it. I felt like she didn't have the boxing and footwork concepts to even get close to her.
That's
Because I think she was
fine.
trying to and couldn't. And then when she did get her against the cage, it just seemed not to work.
Yeah, and true.
You know?
And then also credit Home and even our coaching staff. Whenever they did clinch up, you always saw Home put an arm down on Rousey's lower hip to say, you're not scooting into me. You're not scooting into me.
Yeah.
Back up. If you could throw me from this angle, more power to you. But you're not getting close.
That's a good point. You have to get hip to hip.
Yeah, you got to
get hip to hip.
How funny was it when Rousey threw the left? Holmes ducks underneath and Rousey goes on one knee to propose to the cage. I mean, that to me, in a sense, that almost is like a breaking point. Like, to me, that's almost like saying, okay, maybe I could deal with this. And then you look so bad, it's like, I got nothing for this girl. Because when Rousey got up and turned around, she literally looked deflated, i.e. Tom Brady footballs.
it's it's sort of like reminded me of like when Chael threw that spinning back fist and landed on his ass.
Yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
Chael.
Yeah.
That had
It
to
really,
be
it really was
"Don't!"
like that. Even at the end of the fight, when she was like this, you know your opponent's to your back.
Yeah.
Why would you ever get up without your hands up at least? It's like she just got up and was like, what are you waiting for? Like she just knew it was over. Like she didn't care. You know? I'm like,
Finish him.
I'm like, what's going on?
It's like Holly Holm literally like.
And whose mouthpiece came out?
It was Holly Holm.
It was
I thought it was Ronda's at
Yeah,
first,
me
but
too.
Holly put it back in. It literally was like Holly took her soul and broke it. I mean, it was almost like Bane Batman the first time. Literally broke her in half. I mean, like you said, this is a high-level athlete in Ronda Rousey. Not taking anything away from her, but she literally looked with every miss and every hit she took, lower and lower and lower. Her self-esteem, her confidence, everything. And when she got up, she literally looked like just do it.
Yeah.
Like
I said, she has a winner's mentality, not a champion's mentality. A champion don't get flustered. They go back. You talk to the, corner and everything. Hey, blah blah blah. Find a way to win. Find a way to adjust, to adapt, and you get through it. Best you can. She didn't have that. And then her corner, that motherfucker looked like the dude on my Halloween cereal. Chocolate.
He looked like the Count from Sesame Street.
And that's
talking about.
The other thing is, you're saying like, I mean.